If you are not a Capricorn rising, but you have Saturn in the same house as some inner planets, you may feel the same energy, but in a different way. Capricorn risings, we are built on the idea that things take time and things will come to us later in life. If Saturn is in your first house and you are a Capricorn rising, you don't feel like you've earned joy yet. You don't feel like you can speak up for yourself. You don't feel like you know who you are, or you don't feel like you can show who you are. This may come around through every area of your life. You may feel like you don't have an inner sense of home, a safety, but it's because ultimately you're not being true to yourself. You are not building your foundation on truth. This is the same if Saturn was specially conjunct an inner planet, but also if they are sitting in the same house. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katerina. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. If you stay until the end, then I'd really appreciate you liking, and if you're not subscribed, subscribing. The liking especially helps me figure out what you want me to speak about, what hits the most, what words have backing. It just really helps me to figure out what people want me to speak about more. If you are wanting to work with Saturn, wanting to understand Saturn, if you are feeling stuck, lost, you feel like everything around you is kind of disappearing and you are left alone and you don't really know why, Saturn might be the reason for that, because your foundation isn't true. If you want to understand that, if you want to understand Saturn's placement within your chart, if you want to understand Saturn, if he is your chart ruler, if you were a Capricorn or Aquarius rising, Saturn is your chart ruler. If you want to understand the life path within that and what Saturn is asking of you, I have a workbook down below that would really help you get really clear on what the lesson Saturn is trying to teach you through lived experience, through Hellenistic astrology, evolutionary astrology, and mythology. I kind of bring Saturn to the bare bones of it so you can really understand what that lesson is. If you were interested in that, the link is below. So I thought about this for someone's chart I read, that they had Saturn conjunct two inner planets. And I thought about this in terms of, that's similar to if Saturn was in this house, or that's similar to possibly the experiences of a Capricorn rising. Not fully, but especially if it's an inner planet, it's your daily life. It's how you process emotions. It's how you attract things. It's how you love. And if that has the planet of time conjunct it, which means they're both two together, it does bring the responsibility of that planet to its core. So I thought I would want to speak about it, because maybe this would help you feel a bit more seen and understood and heard. So if you had, for instance, Saturn conjunct the moon, this is and obviously we're talking about the wound of it, or the natural state of it. If you think about this in a way, it would be like your moon in Capricorn, but this just might feel a bit more intense than that, depending on what sign it's in. But also, you just feel this weight of responsibility when it comes to your emotions. You feel like crying is not the responsible thing to do. Showing your emotion is not the responsible thing to do. So often when someone comes to you with something that is meaningful, or something they're going through, sometimes you might give the practical answer first before the emotional answer. When Saturn, the wise, responsible planet, is sitting on the planet that wants to feel everything and wants to, is deeply emotional, those two sometimes can't really connect because emotions a lot of the time aren't built on wisdom. It's built on there and then. Whereas when you've got wisdom, you're like, I've been through worse. I've been through worse. This isn't the worst one of it. But the emotion, the moon is like, just let me feel. Just let me feel. But Saturn is like, you can get through this. You've been through worse than this. It is the wise grandmother giving you the wisdom rather than the sensitivity sometimes. So it can come across as you might feel like you are unemotional. I'm not saying that you are, that's just how you may feel. You may feel like, why can't I just cry like everyone else when something sad happens? When you're watching a movie, I try and hold myself back. Why do I hold myself back? But until you're aware of it, you don't really understand why. You feel like you're heartless, or you may feel like your heart chakra is blocked. But ultimately, it's this feeling of like knowing when to show emotion, knowing when to give practical answers. And it's also a practicality through emotions. It's like, I know you're feeling this way. I know it's really hard. How can I help you get through this? What advice can I give to you? Sometimes with this placement, depending on if Saturn is happy, so for instance, if your moon is in Capricorn and Saturn is conjunct it, Saturn probably wins that conversation. And I'm not saying they're battling against each other. It's just Saturn would be the prominent figure in that relationship between Saturn and the moon. If the moon was, for instance, in Cancer, the moon, like, you might have these emotional outbursts and then regret it immediately afterwards, being like, why did I do that? That was so irresponsible of me. It depends on the sign, but that's kind of the core of Saturn and the moon together. It's like you feel not fully at home within yourself. You feel like you can't express your emotions freely. If you take this into the house placement, it's similar to if Saturn was in the fourth house, not fully. But if Cancer rules the fourth house and the moon rules Cancer, so you would have similar experience, like a feeling of you just don't fully feel at home with yourself, but particularly with your emotions. You don't feel at peace with it. Saturn and the moon conjunct are like, I want to help. How can I actually help? How can I tangibly help someone? How can I need to feel like I am useful, and I need to feel like I can actually help someone. And that's the energy of this placement. You are the dependable friend. You are someone who will be there. You are someone who will really truly like be there with a bag of shopping if you've just had an operation. You'll be there with the practical, tangible ways to show them that you care. You may hold in a lot of tears because you don't feel like it's the responsible thing to do. And I know someone very close to me who has this conjunction, and you can really see it. And it's like making sure that they know, like, crying is fine. Like, you can cry in front of me, just helping you through it. But also knowing that, like, somatics would be absolutely brilliant for this placement, because if you're not emotionally letting your emotions out, if you're not crying, if you're not screaming, whatever it is, your emotions can get stuck in your body. So it's really, really good to like get it out somatically if you can. I've actually started pranic healing, going to someone, and oh my goodness, amazing. So definitely would recommend that if you're interested. Okay, so if we had, like, for instance, Saturn and Venus conjunction, this would be like, I want all the fun now. I want all the pleasure now. I want the money now. I want to just feel love and I want to be beautiful and I want everything to be lovely. And Saturn's like, yeah, but that takes time. Like, whatever you desire, fine. But are you actually going to put in the work? Are you going to build the structure around it? Are you going to actually get up and do the thing that wants that? This could be a massive receiving block if you don't have a connection between them both. Conjunctions they are naturally the fusion of those two planets. So sometimes they're not battling each other, it's just like who you are. If it was an opposition or if it was a square, oppositions would tell you like how to come into the middle. The square is like, I can either be this or that, and I find it really difficult to be either. With a conjunction, it's like just naturally, like those planets are fused together within your chart. So it's kind of like you don't even realize you're doing it, or you don't like, you just, this is part of you, this is who you are. Normally, like, oppositions show you like where you need to find the middle ground. When Saturn and Venus are together, it is tangible abundance. It's not abundance through pleasure, through receiving. It's abundance through tangible things. It's like responsibility within pleasure, which is like not, it's like hard to navigate that if you're not fully aware. This could be like a fear of like fully letting go. Again, similar to the emotions, but pleasure. You could like be with someone intimately and really struggle to let go, and you're in your head a lot, because if you surrender, like, it's like it is a little bit of a fear of kind of seeking pleasure within that. But again, they naturally are like who you are. Like, it's not being one or the other, it's like naturally part of you, which is why I said it could be similar to like a Capricorn rising, because an opposition again tells you what you need to work on, but a conjunction is just like part of you. It's really good to like make sure that you are aware. Like, I have Saturn Neptune conjunction, so I am aware that if I dream too much, I could float away. So I need to bring my dreaming into tangible, like daily, like workable things to make my dreams come true. That's a very simplistic way of looking at it, but that's just an idea. I have Pluto Venus conjunction. Just like, I seek depth in everything in love, and I've often been told I'm too much within that in the dating world. If I want to talk about something deep on the first or second date, I don't care. Like, I genuinely don't care. Tell me like rawest, darkest fear. Like, I don't care. But some people find that a bit too intense. I actually had an experience of that the other week. I was on this community group and I just posted like a poem that I'd written, and I was like really proud of it, and it was very intense, but like, I just loved it. I thought it was really good, and it was just a poem. And I had an experience from someone that made me realize like, oh, that probably was a bit intense, but for me, I loved it. But for others, that might have come across as an intense poem, but to me it was just like a body of work. Anyway, I kind of like, those are the ways that I am able to navigate that. So it's not like I'm not looking for someone to be palatable with me. I want to be with someone who knows the depths of my soul, and vice versa. And that's just naturally who I am. So with Saturn Venus conjunction, it's naturally who you are. You can't receive for receiving's sake. You need to, yes, it could be a receiving block, but it also might be a receiving block to frivolous receiving. It might be that you actually want to receive when you feel like you're really safe with someone, when you feel like you're really protected by them, and then you can let go, if you know what I mean. You might struggle if it's just like a random person or something like that. But this is a great way, the same with Saturn and Jupiter conjunction, is a great thing for long lasting abundance, long lasting pleasure. Like, you have the Venus there, you have all the Jupiter, and you have that they're different entities. But like, say for instance, Jupiter, you have the ability for luck and abundance there, and Saturn is like, bring it down to the earth, make sure it lasts. This is not winning the lottery, this is building an empire. And I think that's a really great placement. It's kind of, you could be negative thinking with this. You know, Jupiter in Capricorn could be someone who also thinks like they'll lose stuff if they get everything that they want in life, or if they seek abundance or luck, or if they want to have love. It might be that like they've got to kind of abandon something, or they just might be quite a negative talking person. So you've got to be aware of that. And again, this is why astrology is really great, because it just helps you with the tools to be aware of like the way that you think. So you know, like, oh, this is why I can be quite negative on myself. Okay, how can I ground myself daily to make sure that I don't negative self-talk? So like working with those planets are really great. And I think, you know, Jupiter and Saturn conjunction is similar to that. It's like, okay, dream big, dream to the biggest you want, like go for it, like all the abundance in the world, span out, see what you want your life to be, and then zoom back into now and be like, okay, how can we get there? And make sure that you have daily practices to make sure that you don't slip into that like negative self-talk of like you don't think you're going to get there, because that is all the frequencies, you know. Saturn in Mercury could be like you feel the weight of the responsibility of when you speak, when you use your voice. You might feel like you're not clever enough, you might feel like you don't know everything. So take time, don't speak yet, just take a moment before you speak. You could analyze a lot of what you say, especially if your Mercury is retrograde conjunct Saturn. Like that's like you will analyze everything that you say, and you will feel like it's not responsible to communicate that or to speak that, so you just stay quiet. Saturn and Mars is like similar to the Saturn in Aries we're moving through now. Is I want to be impulsive, I want to act now, but Saturn's like, really think about it, really think about how you're going to get from A to B. This is not an impulsive act and then you give it up. What are you going to do to make it last? It's Saturn is the lasting planet. It will teach you how to be true, how to build your foundation, and then keep showing up for it. So wherever Saturn is, and if it is conjuncted in a planet, that is your DNA of your everyday life. That is your DNA. Like you can't stop being that way. It's who you are. And it's like, how do I work with this? Like, okay, stop chasing the quick things, stop chasing the quick love, stop thinking that someone's going to save you and then you're going to be like winning the lottery or some shit. Like, actually be like, okay, what do I want to do with my life? And that takes time to understand that. It takes trial and error. But thinking that you're going to win quick money would not be the idea for you if you were a Capricorn rising, or if you had Saturn conjunct a certain planet or in a certain house. Like, it's just not that for you. So the quicker you understand that, and this is why I wrote the workbook, is because the quicker you understand that, the quicker it can work for you, rather than you feeling like you're fighting against it all. So pull up your chart, go onto AstroSeek, go onto astro.com. AstroSeek naturally does put it onto Placidus, so if you do work with whole sign, make sure to change the filter settings on that. But just look at your chart and see if Saturn is having an aspect to someone. If it's a trine, it's like, oh, we support this lasting foundation. If it's an opposition, you've got to find a middle ground. If it's a square, it's genuinely like square is the hardest planet, but it's just teaching you where your attention is and how you might digress back into the old one. So, like, for instance, if Saturn is squaring an inner planet, it's like you could easily go back into Saturn and be like really hard on yourself and like constantly disciplined, never giving up. But then the inner planets, maybe it's not truly aligned, you know, maybe you're just doing it because you want to climb that mountain, but again, maybe it's not your mountain. If you're interested again in understanding Saturn within your house and sign placement, and understanding Saturn as your chart ruler and how to work with Saturn and how to actually build a life that lasts and will really help you, then my workbook is down below for that. If you just want to do it yourself and you want to understand Saturn through your own lens, just there's so much information on Saturn online. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.